It's time for another closer look at a key Kentucky Derby contender.
What's up, everybody? I am Mike Somich for RacingDudes.com. Today, we're going to take a look at White Abarrio, one of the main contenders for the Kentucky Derby, and his specific road to the Kentucky Derby. So let's jump right in and check out some replays. So the first replay we're going to check out from White Abarrio here is the maiden breaking score. This is a really impressive race. This is back on September 24th, 2021. We had different connections, different trainer back then. We'll get into that in a minute. But notice that White Abarrio breaks from the rail. Doesn't break that sharp. And one thing that we always talk about when you're looking at these younger horses is professionalism. How smart is the horse? How quickly do they learn to do their job? In this case, you can see why someone immediately wanted to purchase White Abarrio here. That was C2 Racing Stables watched this race and said, we need this horse. This could be a Derby contender. You'll see that after that poor break, rushed up a little bit, starts to sit on the rail here. So again, we're going 6.5 furlongs, not a very easy distance to break your maiden. Breaking from the rail, toughest place to break when you're trying to break your maiden, and then doesn't break well. All of that leads to a horse that you think would struggle in its first start, especially at 12-1. Now going into the turn, we're going to try and split horses. So we're not even going to get wide and get clear. So again, showing even more professionalism here and the ability to be able to miss the break from the rail, rush up into a pocket, then split horses going around the turn, and be able to then stride out going 6.5 furlongs. This is one of those debuts that is very visually impressive, not just because of how White Abarrio was able to get the job done, but it's also really impressive that he was able to overcome all of these things. It tells you how intelligent this horse is, shows the tactical speed this horse has, and shows the ability that is just sitting underneath this horse. So really awesome debut from White Abarrio, one of the best you'll see, because he didn't just go gate to wire, which is what a lot of times you'll see from these Derby prep winners. All right, now let's jump ahead and let's check out the Holy Bull. This is going to be the first race back in the 3-year-old campaign for White Abarrio. You'll see him there, the gray horse breaking from the outside in that 8th post, breaks well, gets hustled away from the gate, heads into the first turn, and sits right behind the speed. This is really important in this Derby because I want to stress how tactical White Abarrio can be. The last couple races, we're going to watch them both. You're going to hear, oh, he tripped out, got a wonderful trip. He made his own trip, and that's a key if you're trying to win the Kentucky Derby. I just did a pace video on this. It's going to be up on Racing Dude's YouTube channel. Make sure you check that out as well because it shows there's not a ton of pace in this year's Derby, even though there's a lot of horses that want to be a little bit more forwardly placed. Because of that, White Abarrio could end up sitting the perfect trip here. Now, the other thing that's important to note here in this in the Fountain of Youth, White Abarrio missed 2 weeks of training leading up to this race because of a fever. So he wasn't even able to gallop, wasn't able to really work out. When you talk to Saffie Joseph Jr., when you talk to the connections, they both said this horse was between 70 and 80% cranked for this race. So this effort isn't a full-on White Abarrio, ready to go, ready to roll type effort, which makes it even more impressive. You've got Simplification and Mo Donegal both in this race, so you're going to see them try and chase him home here. And right around the turn, this is when you start to see White Abarrio push the button. He's going to go right on by here, and then you're going to see him get. You're going to see Simplification and Mo Donegal try and chase him down. So White Abarrio takes the lead here at the top of the stretch. Simplification's the 4 in this case. Mo Donegal is the 2. And one thing I think is important here is watch what happens mid-stretch. White Abarrio is going to keep on going. You're going to see Simplification stop catching White Abarrio, and Mo Donegal is going to run down Simplification, but not really close the gap on White Abarrio. I love the fact when we get in the lane, we immediately switch leads, we start striding forward, and he's just kind of running away from the horses behind. Also a little bit geared down. You'll see he wasn't really asked that last quarter of a mile either, so really impressive debut here, a 3-year-old debut here from White Abarrio, coming right back off the bench and firing a big effort. All right, the final race of the White Abarrio road to the Kentucky Derby we're going to watch here is going to be the Florida Derby. This was run on April 2nd. This was his second race of his 3-year-old campaign. And you'll note he has a little bit of trouble here. Tried to get a little more forwardly placed, ends up fanned 4 wide, and is a little bit further back than you generally are going to see. The difference in the Florida Derby here versus the Fountain of Youth, which we just watched, you're going to see that Simplification there is sitting in second now, versus being further back in that race. Classic Causeway obviously came here from Tampa, much more forwardly placed there. We see about the same time from a first quarter perspective, and you've got White Abarrio who's sitting right there outside of Charge It in that 5th spot. Those are 2 of the horses that are going to end up running 1-2 here, and again, you'll see that tactical style from both of them that allow them to make really good trips. In this case, White Abarrio was forced 4 wide on the first turn, which is one of the reasons I think this is a little bit more impressive than people are necessarily giving it credit for, because you're going to go 4 wide, you're going to go 3 wide on the second turn, and then you're going to have to be able to hold off Charge It coming down the lane, who gets going a little bit later and is be able to save a little bit more ground on both of those turns. So heading into the far turn here, you see Classic Causeway absolutely drops the anchor after 47.2 opening half mile. White Abarrio starts to charge now, and you can see again when he's told to go, White Abarrio just makes his move very easily. It's something that you like to see in these horses. You want them to be quote unquote push button, where when you ask, they just move. You can see White Abarrio hasn't really been fully asked yet, just handwriting right now from Tyler Gaffleone. On the outside, you see Charges starting to make his run. Simplification, who sat second right behind Classic Causeway, now getting a little bit tired, getting a little weavy down the lane there. And again, look at the professionalism from White Abarrio. Runs in a straight line, changes leads right away, able to, again, run away from Simplification. And then you've got Charge It, who's trying to make this move and actually looks pretty good, except he's a little bit green, and tries to make a run on, but isn't quite able to catch White Abarrio coming down to the lane. Now, the one thing I want to focus on, you can see the time up in the corner there. 14 seconds isn't quite as fast as you'd like to see. Thanks for joining me to take a look at White Abarrio and his trip to the Kentucky Derby. The things I want to make sure I stress when you're watching this video. First off, the professionalism this horse has. He does everything right, which is a huge advantage when you're in your field of 23-year-olds and absolutely anything can happen. Breaks well, has tactical speed, and is able to make his own trip, which I think is key. Then in all three of those races, what we saw from that horse coming down the lane was huge. First off, in the debut, to be able to split horses is massive when you're talking about a 20-horse field. It means that he doesn't have to be out wide. He can save some ground on the second turn, split, and still make that same run. And then in the two prep races we saw as a 3-year-old, to me, the keys are the fact that he looks professional. He looks older than a 3-year-old already. When you're watching those races, you see Simplification, you see Charge It. They're both weaving down the lane. White Abarrio is straight as an arrow, changes leads exactly when he wants to. And when Tyler Gaffleone asks him to go, he goes, and he doesn't need a bunch of encouragement to do so. All of those things are positives for White Abarrio. Now, the one negative is how fast that Florida Derby came back. Time was a little bit slow, so you got a couple concerns there. But from a visual perspective, White Abarrio has done absolutely nothing wrong. And when you're talking about professionalism, he is one of the most professional horses in the field. He's able to he's able to run close to the lead if he needs to. He's able to come from off the pace if he needs to. He's able to split horses, and he is going to look awfully good coming down the lane. He will run his race. It's a question of whether or not that race is going to be good enough. Thanks for joining me here on RacingDudes.com's YouTube page. Make sure you check out all the videos we have leading up to the Kentucky Derby. We'll have multiple contender capsules just like this one and live shows all next week leading up to the big Saturday.
This has been a presentation of RacingDudes.com, your destination for all things horse racing and sports betting. Whether you want free winners, expert insider picks, up-to-the-minute trackside weather reports, or podcasts and videos for bettors of all skill levels. Never make another wager without visiting the Racing Dudes. First,